Hey guys, welcome back to Sobertube, another rapid fire question session with Vito Frackelveri, the sober dude, and Vito is going to ask me questions about addiction.
So first question to me is, how do you balance your recovery and your work life?
Very hard, and in my almost 10 years sober, I have messed this up a lot. So as an addict, the first thing I did was I got addicted to my recovery. And my first year was meetings, and nothing else. And I'm grateful that I had that opportunity. As work got busier and I got successful, there was times in my recovery where I became completely unbalanced, where work was my main focus and recovery was an hour a week. That made me dry, never made me want to use, it just made me totally disconnected from the feelings and emotions of what it feels like to be a grateful recovered addict. So now I try and go like 60-40, 60 recovery, 40 work. I have a sponsor, I have a home group, I have commitments, I have a job that I'm blessed to have in the recovery field, and that's a tricky thing too, because you don't want to have one be your recovery, like work is work. So it's all about balance. It's all about, I have to spend just as much time in my recovery as I do working and being a person in society. And I try and use my 12-step, which is I can't keep my recovery if I don't give it to the world. And I try and practice those principles in all my affairs, which means that I try and live good every single day and with every single person in my life.
We all get into relationships during sobriety with, we get girlfriends, girls get boyfriends, all that. So what do you do to not preach the 12 steps to somebody that hasn't been through what we've been through? Like, how do you put that aside when you're in a relationship?
It's very hard to do, and self-control is something that I'm learning in sobriety. I can't push my shit on everybody. And my biggest problem in life is probably that I like to push my shit on everybody. I like to give advice that I probably don't even take. The most important thing that I've learned from my sponsor is to lead by example. And if you want people to get something from you, they have to be attracted to it. You can't push it on them. So I can't smash you with my knowledge or jam my big book or my recovery down your throat. I have to be an example of good recovery so that you're attracted to it. So that's something that, listen, that just sounded great coming out of my mouth, but I got to learn how to live that more than talk about that. So, and I'm a work in progress.
So last question for you is, and I ask this question a lot to people, when did the light bulb come in when you were doing the steps? What was the biggest part of the steps that kind of like started to click for you?
So when I was in my second rehab, a switch went off in my head that said, you won't succeed at doing your favorite thing, which is doing drugs every single day. You're in trouble. You're just going to keep ending up in rehab, and life was getting harder to rebuild. I got a sponsor just out of pure necessity and last resort. I'm like, they told me to get a sponsor, I'm going to get a sponsor. My sponsor was like getting a flat tire fixed. I didn't want to do it, and I got it done. Halfway through the steps, a month or two in, I realized that I had this thing in my life called gratitude. I started being grateful for sleeping on my mom's couch. I was grateful that my mom would give me food. I started to be grateful for things that I would have hated when I was an addict. Little things became big things. Small gestures became things that I felt in my heart. Life slowly got a little bit better. I was able to walk outside and, see a tree or a leaf for the first time and think it was beautiful. So it was just a nice process to sit down with somebody that had been through what I went through and recovered, and I chased it. So the sponsorship was magic to me, and it's something I recommend to anybody who is looking for help in the addiction world.
Brian, my last question to you, and this is a question that never really gets asked a lot, and I know I went through this a lot in recovery. So in the beginning, a lot of people preach that you got to do this right, like you have to make your bed, you have to do this stuff, you have to live a clean life, all that, or you're going to get high. People say that. Do you believe in that, or do you believe that everyone just has their own way?
Whoa, that's a good question, especially to be not prepared for. I learned in rehab how to do all that stuff. I don't think I would have done it if I didn't learn it there. But I do think that, when my addiction kicked in at 15, and luckily I haven't used since I was 27, I'm 37 now, I had a lot of growing up to do. Me walking through my house that smelled like a cigarette and was covered with trash and just a complete disaster. It's not a healthy way to live. If you live in shit, you're gonna feel like shit. It was important for me to, does cleaning my house keep me sober? Absolutely not. But does cleaning my house make me feel good about where I live and give me a little bit more self-esteem or make me feel just a little bit better? Yeah. Does paying my bills, do I like doing it? No. But am I grateful to be able to? Absolutely. I'm glad that I get a paycheck. I don't have to lie, cheat, and steal. So, and everybody's a little bit different. Some people get all that stuff in the first 30 days. Some people it takes a year. The important thing is to constantly be trying to improve yourself and to never think that we're going to graduate from this thing.
Thanks, Brian. Last question is, we always talk about what's the message to the addict that's suffering. What's your message to the mother and father that's suffering with an addict that won't stop using?
Yeah, great question. Comes up a lot. Mom and dad, you can't keep them sober, and you're not going to get them high. Making them dinner is not going to keep them sober. Tiptoeing through the house, not starting an argument, paying for their car, paying for their cell phone. You're just avoiding an argument. You're not getting them better. And the argument, if it does happen, is not going to get them high. This is a disease none of us wanted. It's terminal, and there's professionals out there that can help. Don't play doctor. Don't play therapist. Get that person into a treatment as soon as possible. It's an emergency, and there's resources. Everyone has an option. You just have to work. And I chased sobriety like I chased my addiction, and you should treat it the same way. It's an emergency, and get your kids help.